Welcome to Spirit School. I'm your mentor, Danielle Sarank, also known as the Squamish Medium. In this podcast, I share honestly all I have learned about the mediumship and spiritual development journey. My intention is to normalize these conversations, to make way for a more confident, clear, and connected wave of lightworkers, serving the world of spirit with an open and joyful soul. Welcome again to Spirit School. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Spirit School. I'm very excited to be here for another podcast episode, which is your spirit messages for September 2022. Before we get into the spirit messages, which I'm really excited about, I just wanted to share two quick things because they are current and they run out mid-month. One of them being the initiation, which is my 8-week Mediumship Foundations Experience. This is for people who are brand spanking new to mediumship and within their first 2 or 3 years of mediumship development. So what I share through this experience, and I call it an experience because it's not just a program, it really takes into consideration the various ways that adults learn. So for some of you, it will be through a live experience with me. There are 5 live classes, which are also recorded for replays. There's also a self-study portion, which is actually how I personally learn best. I'm a replay person myself. Just given the way my brain works, I need a little bit more space and time to be able to pause and rewind, to be able to take notes. So there is a big component of it that is also a self-study. And then, of course, the favorite and best part of the program, which is the practice experience. You will be partnered with 2 people a week to be able to practice what you have learned and just sit in a vulnerable space to be able to close your eyes, open your eyes, however you desire to try to tune in, and just get some practical experience behind you on just seeing these abilities unfold for you. I recently had somebody on Instagram ask me in one of my lives, can I develop without practicing? And I'd never been asked that before, but the answer immediately came up. I said, well, actually, the opposite. I think that you can develop solely through practicing, but I don't think you can develop without practice. You can read all the books, attend all the classes, take all the programs, listen to all the lectures, but until you put yourself in a space where you can center yourself and just say what is coming through you and to you and have that validated and start uncovering your own language of the world of spirit and your own way of communicating with them, none of it will really make sense. It will just be words. And so the biggest part of the program is actually the practice. That's something that my team helps you take care of as well. So I won't go too much on it, but we start September 14th. The link is in the show notes. This is my 7th time running this experience, and we continue to refine it. It's never the same twice. I also offer for alumni, anyone who has taken the program before. You're welcome to take it again for $222, and I've kept the program at the same price of $888. I think that's a really fair price for all involved. I actually have it set up now that you can have 2 or 3 payments with that, and there are no penalty payments. I have committed to being a kind and trauma-informed business, and this is one of the things I've implemented into my practice, into my business, is accessible payment plans that are non-penalized for those who want to take it. So we start September 14th. I'm really excited for that. And then the other one is the membership. I wanted to talk about the Spirit School Collective a little bit. We have some exciting things coming up in September. We've moved the format to be every Friday we meet as a group. Again, replays are available, but we have a circle every single Friday with me leading it where we do a guided visualization, and there may be a little bit of Q&A and an opportunity for people to practice. And also some other interesting things, like I really want to get people talking about spiritual philosophy and talking about spiritual topics with one another and really connecting in with one another as a community. The other things that we'll be focusing on as well in September is around grief and death doula work. So one of my clients, Penny, is going to be teaching a masterclass on end-of-life doula care and end-of-life doula as a profession. And then I also have my trauma-informed mentor, who is a certified grief counselor, coming into the community to teach a 90-minute workshop on holding space for grief. And this will be a little bit of a lesson and then an opportunity to bring forward some case studies and ask her questions, because I think it's important for everyone who does healing arts work to learn a little bit about trauma-informed care, but also understand that we are working with sensitive, grieving hearts, and working with the public is a completely different skill set than developing mediumship. And I'm really passionate about teaching these different aspects in the community and try to provide as much expertise and content that will support you guys, not just on discovering your connection with your spirit teams, but also on working for the public, because so many of you want to do this, whether it's a hobby, which for me, this was a hobby for 7 years, and I just so happened to be able to go full time in it after 7 years of doing it on the side. And I really enjoyed the way that I was able to kind of evolve into doing this work full time. And I know that so many of you are interested in that. So we are going to be covering a little bit of that in September as well. So again, just a reminder, the Spirit School community and platform is off social media, and it's an all-in-one platform. So when you join the free community, you have an opportunity to easily move up into the membership space. If you desire a lot more intensive studying with me as a mentor, but you're also welcome to just join the free community space and take part in some of the week-long challenges that we have had, which you can still continue to access. The first one was Spirit Guide Week, which was really popular, where I take you guys through 5 days of lessons and guided visualizations on connecting with your spirit guides. And then the most recent challenge was a Sitting in the Power of You week, where every day I teach a different technique for sitting in your power, not so much the traditional spiritualism sense of sitting in the power, but sitting in the power of you. And then sharing different teachings and visualizations on that as well. So all that is accessible. We have over 600 people in this amazing community. It's very active, and it's a really fun space to be able to connect in with people who have very similar interests. Hopefully we'll be able to see you in Spirit School. Thank you for just giving me a couple minutes to share about those two programs, I guess, or activities we have coming up in my world. And hopefully we will see you there. As I tune into the spirit messages for September, there are a few things that have come up for me. Now, when I tune into these spirit messages, always as a disclaimer and a reminder that when I set the intention to record these episodes, I'm always doing it from the lens of spirit world, who do you know will be tuning in to listen? I want to be able to bring through a message or a phrase or a saying, or even the whole thing if it makes sense, but just for those that will be drawn here to listen. You know, I'm not vain enough to believe that what I have to say will make sense for the 8 billion people who are blessed to live on this planet and be embodied at this moment. But really, I'm just speaking to those who the world of spirit knows will be tuning in or who may be drawn to listen into the messages for this month. Now, the first word that the world of spirit brought me when I was tuning into the messages was clarity. And when I tuned into the energy of the word of clarity and the way that they're presenting it to me, it is around September being a month of starting to refine and get clearer on how we spend our days. Spirit has brought to my attention that through the busyness of summer, which was such a joyous time for so many of us, and it was a very busy time, we were really acting out of passion. We were acting out of inspiration, and it was just a very busy time. The way that they make me feel is so many of us were just following the next passion, the next inspiration of the moment, and what a beautiful way to live and what a blessing after the insanity of the few years we have had. But the world of spirit is making me feel that September is really about stopping for a second here and just getting a little bit clear on how we want to finish off this year. And I get the sense that there will be a lot of clarity that comes to us through the month of September. And one thing that they're having me say at this very moment is for many of us, we may experience things that we don't like in September as a way to get clear as well. Clarity, as beautiful as it is not always an easy path. We don't always get the clearest visions on what is best for us or what we desire most through ease. For so many of us, it is a little bit of turmoil that really brings the clarity to us on what we feel we deserve in our lives. I get the sense that we may discover that we may have been settling in some areas of our lives. And through a little bit of turmoil is the word that keeps coming up. We will be looking at how we feel in those moments surrounded by these people and in these situations and decide for ourselves, no, I don't think that this is for me anymore. I don't think that this is how I want to live or how I want to feel. I'm clear on that now. And for September, it's not so much about making the plans for the future. It's more about getting clear on what we desire for our lives. Again, I keep saying who we choose to spend our time with and how we choose to spend our time, but also paying attention to how we feel in certain spaces and places as well. I do get the sense that there will be quite a few people who are listening to this who have a desire to even move locations. I'm seeing a big map being laid out, and it's almost like daydreaming about where would I like to live next. I feel that more and more of us are less attached to the lands in which we were raised, in which we find ourselves currently situated, and daydreaming about maybe a slightly different lifestyle and what else could be out there. So there will be a lot of changes coming up throughout the rest of the year, and September is really a month to bring clarity. Now, I did pull a few cards before this, and interesting enough, the first card was the third eye, which definitely echoes that message around getting clarity. So if you come across a situation this month that you feel to be not incredibly positive or something that is, creating a bit of turmoil in your life, if you can change the perspective to say, okay, there's clarity awaiting me in this situation. Where can I get clearer? And Spirit reminds me to ask yourself to tune into how you feel. And there's also something here about the feeling being repetitive. It's a familiar feeling. And it's almost like I felt this before. Where did I feel this before? And really getting clear on some of the patterns that we are continuing to carry with us month after month, day after day, year after year. And understanding that some of the feelings that come up for us that we are clear that we do not wish to carry forward. That the situations that bring them up are very different. And the feelings are incredibly valid. But looking at how you feel, how do you desire to feel instead? And when you tune into that feeling of how you desire to feel instead, when did you last feel like that? Who were you with? Where were you? And how can we invite more of that into our lives? So it's not just about being clear on what we don't want, but it's starting to get a little bit clearer on what we do desire as well, and taking stock at where these sensations come up in our day-to-day and in our relationships and our interactions. Very important. It's a big month of clarity. This is for sure. I'm also hearing a funny phrase that I know will resonate with some of you who are listening right now, where some of you feel so unclear that clarity feels very far off. And Spirit wants to say that that lack of clarity is actually clarity in itself, that you can acknowledge that lack of clarity is even crystal clear. And that's okay. It will come. Again, if you are feeling like that, pay attention to your interactions. The world and Spirit is speaking to us continuously. There's a beautiful quote I recently uncovered and said in one of my communities, and they really loved it. And it said, God spoke to me today in flowers, and I, who was awaiting words, almost missed the conversation. So I want you to see every interaction, no matter how mundane it may appear, to be one that is spiritual in nature and connects us in with the deeper spiritual aspects of ourselves. You're only drawn to listening to this podcast if you're somebody who is keen on spiritually evolving and growing. And when we sign up for a path that is meant to spiritually evolve and grow for ourselves and for those in proximity of us, our families, our children, our friends, it is often the situations that feel the most uncomfortable that are the ones that help us grow the most. Now, I do feel most definitely that we can grow through ease. And that ease is incredibly beautiful, but what is ease without some disruption? There is always going to be light and shadow qualities to everything that we experience. So trying to reframe some of these more difficult situations as being ones that are gifted to us. They are opportunities for us to get clearer on where we desire to go next in this life. And especially for the rest of the year. I am not someone who typically gets super hung up on January 1st being the new year. I love astrology. I love seeing Aries season as the new year. Sometimes, September for many of us is considered a new year as well for mothers because our children are back at school and new routines are taking place. And many of us are looking at the hours of the day we have to fill now and what we truly desire, and how many people lack that knowledge of what they desire because we give so much away to others. So there's this reclamation happening through September as well around our desires and how we choose to spend our time. And for those of you who have struggled like me with understanding what brings us joy and what makes us happy and what makes us fulfilled, September is going to be full of opportunities to get clarity on that as well. But we have to pay attention to the in-between moments. We're always chasing these big moments. We're always chasing these big situations. When Spirit is really inspiring me to talk about those in-between moments, the ones that feel the most mundane, being some of the most powerful for us. I think awareness is the next word that comes in for September, a big month of awareness. Again, I don't get the sense that Spirit is asking us to take drastic action. They're not asking us to move at this moment, but they are asking us to start taking stock in our lives and seeing where we truly desire to go. There is something to be said about the end of this year. I get the sense that things will be moving pretty quickly through October, November, and December. Almost so quickly that it won't be an optimal time for this clarity that they keep speaking about through me. And so really seeing September as that time to slow down and even simmer a little bit in the ambitions, if I may. Now, I'm a very ambitious person, so this is very hard to say because it goes against how I truly live my life, to be honest with you. But that's how come I love Spirit messages too, because they're evidential for me in a way, because I am speaking things that don't necessarily make sense to me or come through me. But Spirit is saying September is not necessarily a time of great ambition. I get the sense that that will be coming in the fall for us. But we really have to kind of tidy up some of these loose ends and some of these things that are less desirable in our lives that we feel almost chained to. They're making me feel, I'm seeing like a ball and chain. It's like we feel this deep sense of devotion to some things we have going on in our lives. This goes to work, I have to say. I feel like this is connected to how we make a living or how we desire to make a living, meaning money. And I know that we've been really lost in our society around our identities being really tied to how we make a living and how we make our money. And I do feel like there's a time of great change where we are uncovering a deeper sense of identity within ourselves that is more holistic. It's more encompassing of our roles as partners, as parents, as lovers, as friends. And having our identity less attached to one area of our life that can help us not easily crumble when things don't really go our way or when things don't align, if you will. Some of this clarity work is really around this self-identity work as well and what we want to be known for. When I feel into this, and using an example from my lived life, my kids don't care I'm a medium. They don't care that I am known somewhat in the world. That's not important to them. It's not even that important to me, to be honest with you. But our society places such great importance on this that it blinds us in our humanity. Some of this clarity work will be deeply tied to a shift in how we feel about ourselves and how we identify out in the world. And this is part of the great change that is happening right now. Everything's changing. In a few years, nothing will look the same. And there is a great discomfort in change. And I feel like through these spirit messages, they are preparing us for these changes in a slow and steady way. So please do take this message to heart, but don't give it too much weight in your world. You'll probably forget most of what I've said. But as you move through your world this month and you find yourself feeling uncomfortable, just hear the word opportunity. There's an opportunity here for me. And this will be a big shift for many of you. I know this. I feel this. Spirit also asked me to speak about the balance of giving and receiving. And I feel like as our children start to head back to school, and even though we have careers and ways to fill our days, there still is this incredible imbalance of overgiving and not truly learning how to receive. So there is an opportunity here to get clarity on what that receiving looks like and how we can bring this more back into balance. For some of us, receiving may be spending time in quiet. For some of us, this receiving may be being a bit more social in the world, maybe starting a group of some kind so that you can make connection, whether this be a development circle or a book club or even a wine club of some sorts. But I get the sense that there'll be many of us who will be drawn to being more social and understanding that because we give so much away to our family, sometimes we feel that being social is more taxing. But the world of spirit wants us to gather once more and come into circle again and learn that connecting with one another in this equal exchange is actually very fulfilling. And so we need to see some of these more social settings that are not just giving to children or giving to partners or giving to the household as a way of actually receiving some beautiful medicine as well. So if you're not already currently in a circle of some kind, and again, it could be on anything. It doesn't have to be spiritual development. Like I say, a book club, a knitting club, an ice skating club, anything that you gather in community is a way to be really fulfilled. Spirit makes me feel that because we have been pushed online for so long, that we've lost a sense of humanity within ourselves, and we've lost a sense of seeing other people in their humanity. It's so quick and easy to judge when you only see one side of people, which is the side that they choose to show us. And we lose sense of the depth of people. And it's through gathering in circle on a common passion that we can start to see people in more dimensional ways, in deeper ways. And I get the sense this is why Spirit wants me to start doing in-person retreats and gatherings again as well, because I feel like we need to start seeing each other in our humanity again. There has been a numbness that has been created over these years of just taking people at face value in what they share, what they choose to share, but understanding that a lot of the times people present themselves from a place of wounded, and that isn't their truest sense. And we have lost a little bit of compassion for one another because of the screen and how we are very limited in what we are able to see of somebody's life. And that's made us numb to one another a little bit. So if you feel so called to listen to the spirit messages, look for something in your area. I last year tried to have somebody start because I'm not ready to lead anything like this, but I want to learn to write poetry. And I tried so hard to find a group that does live poetry, like writing and readings. I couldn't find anything. Everything was online self-study. And I think that there is beauty to that way of learning for people who have squiggly brains and busy minds, most definitely, but we definitely need to connect in with one another. If nothing else, this world could use a lot more compassion. And it's hard to have true compassion when we're not connecting with each other on deeper levels. So do let me know how you get on with this and if you'd find something like this, but we need to let go of the story that connecting in with one another will create a deficit within ourselves energetically. Spirit wants to remind us this is actually how we can get a lot of our energy as long as we're in the right place. We will feel drained and exhausted most definitely if we find ourselves in spaces we truly don't desire to be. And there's also this message around fitting in. really, I think this is an illusion that we may be chasing because we'll never find someone exactly like us. We're all so vastly different. And there is no such thing as fitting in, I feel. And this is a hard message for me to hear myself, because I know for myself, I desire to fit in. I think we all do. But it's not so much about fitting in, giving other people our power to say, do I belong here? But does this space light me up? Does this space expand me? Do I feel like my most full self here? That is what we're looking for. Not fitting in, but do I feel my most human here? Do I feel my most expansive here? Do I feel good here? I feel like this is a new measuring tool for all of us to consider if we take in these spirit messages this month. I feel too, going back a little bit to this clarity, because I feel everything that has come through already in these spirit messages is really around clarity. But Spirit wants to remind us of the power of pen to paper and really documenting and writing a lot of the findings that we have, because we can forget so easily. We can forget so easily how something can make us feel so good. And the next time we encounter something that makes us feel less than or bad about ourselves, we almost start over. And we find ourselves climbing the same hills over and over again. When Spirit's like, if you can write down and capture for a moment how you felt in that moment, and give yourself that gift of returning to that experience through your own writing, through the power of transmitting that onto paper for you to be able to recall any time. You don't have to keep climbing the same hill. You can almost, they're showing me a gondola, you can almost take the gondola up. You don't have to hike it. By trying to create spaces for you to remember. But they make me feel like we keep ourselves so busy, we don't even give ourselves the time to document some of the greatest experiences of our lives. And so many of us are drawn to different books and experiential teachers and storytellers who share their experiences, yet we don't take the time to document our own. And some of us, I get the sense, are feeling like, why would I take the time to write this down? Who's going to read it anyways? But it's not for other people. Social media has conditioned us to think that if it is not worthy to go up on a meta platform, that it's not worth talking about, but that's not true. Before we had things like online social media presences, we had journals, we had pages, capturing our own stories. This is how our people did it before technology booms. We shared stories through oration and through writings. And so we can simplify things again by capturing even the most mundane of experiences to recall on. And I feel like they're using this reference that I was recently going through my early development journals and my online blog for my early development days, and how we can so easily forget some of these incredible experiences, but gift ourselves these same blessings of being able to look back on them years from now for ourselves, to transport us to a time and place where we felt most alive, where we followed curiosities that led us to magic. If we live our lives only capturing the moments that we deem to be worthy for social media, we are living a fake life. We're living a life for other people and not ourselves. And if anything else, these spirit messages really guide me to say it's time to start living our lives for ourselves once more. And though that may feel boring to some people, Spirit will always guide us back to ourselves. And that's really what this is about. This is really about guiding back to ourselves once more and not living for other people anymore. And there's some real deep magic that happens in that. I get this real strong sense of self-identity and seeing ourselves as being whole and more full and more diverse and more powerful. We don't have to be just good at one thing. We can be incredible parents and incredible partners, incredible career people, incredible mediums, incredible teachers. We can be powerful in many different areas of our lives. We don't have to just hyper-focus on one that other people know us mostly for. And one final thing I'll tune into as part of these September messages for you, and I feel that this is a beautiful way to tie up the messages that have already come through, is when we get a deeper sense and clarity on what expands us and what makes us feel most alive, and really doing that deeper work to get clear on that, there's these friendships that come in that give us a deeper sense of connection. There's partnerships, there's collaborations, there's a closeness that we can get with other people that are outside of our immediate circles that we're aware of at this moment that will give us a great sense of connection and purpose. Again, going back to an earlier message around gathering in community around a common passion or interest, there's something to be said about people who you will meet in these spaces that will end up being partners in some way. I'm seeing this as career, to be honest with you. A lot of what's come through today's career, but there will be some really interesting collaborations that come out of these experiences, and they'll feel more harmonious. I will be honest, I get the sense that there's a lot of people who are coming into a space now where it's almost more of a driving force to feel connected to people than to be financially abundant. It's like understanding that these deeper sense of connection fulfill us a lot more. And it's almost like the missing piece. And so there is this beauty that is created when we connect in with one another outside of the responsibilities that we have in this life, in our households, in our families, in the circles in which we may have been told what our identity is. So there's a lot of self-identity work coming up for September, and there's a lot of opportunity here to get clear for the rest of the year. Again, I feel that, October, November, December are going to move so quickly. We're going to wonder what happened with time. So September is almost this time of pause as we turn the seasons. And for those of us that live in places where we're blessed with all 4 seasons, it's very apparent that the seasons are changing. And it's almost like things are starting to slow down in September. And if you feel uncomfortable in that slowness, look at that, because it's not good to be super busy all the time either. But clarity, connection, and partnerships are a really big part of the month looking ahead. And just remember to look at what makes you happy and see how you can invite more of that into your day-to-day experience. So I feel good about where we have landed with these messages. I hope you have enjoyed them and you heard at least even one thing within them that inspired you or made you feel seen and felt a resonance for. I really do enjoy doing these, so if you do share them, do tag me and let me know how you felt about them. And I look forward to tuning into October when it comes. And yeah, we have a lot of great things coming up on the podcast in the upcoming months, and I look forward to seeing you in Spirit School. Thank you for joining me for this episode. Did you know that Spirit School is not just a podcast? It's an actual school. If you go to myspiritschool.com, you can invest in self-study courses, live programs, and of course the Spirit School Collective, my baby, my monthly membership community. All Spirit School offerings are intended to get you feeling clear, confident, and connected to your spiritual path, your development journey, and of course, connected to other spiritual curious souls who are having similar experiences to you. I hope to see you in Spirit School.